If they're wise, they'll say, I'm so sorry, I didn't know that, thank you for bringing it to my attention. If they're foolish, they'll say, you just need to get over it, you need to move on, you need to put up with it, and then you got to have a little bit of consequence. No, we really want to get together, we want to see you for the holidays, but there are some things that happen almost every year, and we don't want them to happen this year. There's some things that are said or done, and it's just not going to be okay. So can we agree to some terms before we get in the room? That's what you do with people who are foolish. And you can be humble. We should be humble and say, is there anything I can do differently? Is there anything I can do better? Is there any way I can be more loving? Is there any way that I've been foolish toward you? Is there anything that I've said or done that I need to own? And maybe you start by owning that. Say, here's the things that I'm convicted of and I want to do better this year. I was wondering if I could bring up some things that I think you could do better so that we could have a better holiday together. And sometimes humility really helps, because wise people are not always the highest IQ, but they tend to have high humility. And so they're teachable and humble. And those who are foolish are then invited by the humble to become humble, and relationships always work better when there's two humble people. I've never seen a massive relational head-on collision from the humble and the humble. I've seen it from the proud and the proud. I've seen a steamroller situation with the proud over the humble, and when two people are humble, the relationship tends to go well. So wise people will start with humility, confessing their own faults, flaws, and failures, being generous and private and gracious with the other, and inviting them to make some course corrections for the sake of the relationship. And some of you may have a few people in your family. You say, probably need to talk about that before we get into it. But let me say this as a little insight too. If you're married, you talk to your side of the family, they talk to their side of the family. If you engage and get involved and are in sort of a grenade launching competition with their side of the family, that'll put them in a weird place, and triangulate, and as much as possible, you deal with your side, they deal with their side, with the in-laws and the outlaws and whoever else there may be. But occasionally, and if you've got a category of a lot of evil people in your life, either you're a real bad picker for relationships, or maybe you're hurt a lot and your hurt has caused you to put everybody in the evil bucket. But I would say, guys in the Bible, like Jesus' disciple John was wise. He loved Jesus. He was faithful. He was steadfast. He was teachable. Peter had a season there where he was foolish and denied Christ and abandoned and messed up, but he did get humble and he did repent. And so Peter moved from foolish to wise. One of the disciples that was just flat out evil was Judas Iscariot, just evil. I mean, he was plotting against Jesus. He was stealing from Jesus. His life was committed to undermining Jesus. Finally, he betrays Jesus and he hands Jesus over to be murdered. That's just evil. And Jesus responded to John with an ongoing warm relationship. With Peter, who was foolish, he needed to have a kind of intense but a forgiving, honest, let's put our cards on the table, let's get over the past and move on to the future conversation with Peter. And Peter moved from foolish to wise. But with Judas Iscariot, he said, I know what you're going to do, so just go do it quickly. He basically said, Judas, there's not going to be wisdom from you. And you're not just a foolish guy making mistakes, you're an evil guy making plots.